We started digging around more. The group was recently created. 3 people are made admin. Anthony Greenfield, Joe Donor, Kyle Gordy.
Oh my gosh, just when you thought that Vile Kyle was gone for good, he pops up in one of the craziest documentaries I've seen in ages, The Man with 1,000 Kids on Netflix. Now, when we first saw Kyle on 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise, I'm sure you'll agree, we all thought the guy was peculiar, right, to put it lightly. But what's since emerged is pretty f***ing scary.
All these serial sperm donors have deemed Kenya the new promised land.
Mary also wants a baby. Mary also very interested. You also like, right? You also want sperm donation. Also interested.
And then there's this post where they mention a gathering of all the mass donors. What are their plans? What the f*** are they up to?
Now, if you haven't watched the documentary yet, let me fill you in really quickly. So, it tells the story of a Dutch guy called Jonathan Meijer. Like our very own Kyle Gordy, who comes into the story shortly, but like Kyle, Jonathan is a sperm donor, a super sperm donor. The guy's basically the Genghis Khan of sperm donors. He's donated far and wide thousands of kids. Yeah, you heard that right. Thousands of kids. Like, they estimate the actual number could be as high as 3,000 children. Now, one of the very many wild parts about this is Jonathan actually lied about his donations. Like, he repeatedly told the women and the families that he was donating his sperm to that, in fact, he had far, far fewer kids.
He told me he had helped 2 families, and I was the third child at that time.
And he told me that he only donated to 3 women.
My child would have been the 3rd, and we all believed him.
Now, Jonathan was donating his sperm, both privately, but also to sperm clinics. And in the Netherlands, where he's from, where he was mostly active, there's a voluntary guideline, like it's not the law, but it's a voluntary guideline that limits the number of kids a sperm donor can have to being a maximum of 25.
We start with a written agreement that the donor will not be active for other clinics or for other women. The donor will only donate in our clinic.
Yeah, so knowing that, having signed the agreement that he wouldn't have more than 25 kids, Jonathan knowingly and deliberately went past that limit anyway. He was donating far and wide, privately and to multiple clinics. And that's where the problems begin. You see, the limit of 25 children is in place to prevent incest.
Half-siblings who are not aware that they are half-siblings are attracted to each other and will have children together.
Oh, what if these children meet each other and maybe have a connection or fall in love and they don't know that they're related, and that's when the real panic started.
Now, via an anonymous tip-off, it was eventually discovered that within the Netherlands alone, quite a small country, Jonathan had been donating to 11 clinics, and from those clinics, he had 102 children. But keep in mind, that's just sperm clinic donations. The bulk of his donations were done privately.
I am from a private donation. How many private donations did he do, and how many more children are there?
And to make matters worse, all of these numbers were just from the Netherlands alone. You see, Jonathan was also regularly on his YouTube channel posting lots of videos from foreign destinations. Destinations that later became apparent coincided with trips to foreign clinics and foreign private donations. Yeah, the guy was literally spreading his seed in every continent, in every corner of the globe.
Today I'm in Denmark. Today I'm in Canada. Today I'm in Toronto. Today I'm in Hong Kong. Today I'm in New York.
And of course, the rest of the 3-part documentary is all about how these deceived donors from worldwide come together to try and stop this man from donating any more.
I can't understand, why are you so willingly putting so many children on this earth? Why?
So how exactly does Vile Kyle fit into all of this? Well, just when you think the documentary couldn't get any more insane, we find out that many of these super donors from around the world are all in one Facebook group together. It's a group that's been specifically set up for sperm donation in Kenya. And who's the admin of this group?
The group was recently created. 3 people are made admin. Anthony Greenfield, Joe Donor, Kyle Gordy.
Now, keep in mind, on the show, Kyle was adamant, he was very clear that he only does private donations. He never donates to a clinic, he repeatedly told us.
Sperm banks are very clinical because at the end of the day, it's just a number on a vial.
So a clinic would never be an option?
Well, it's just too cold and clinical.
But what's very curious is how this Facebook group that he's an active member of and an admin of seems to be working alongside, or at the very least, promoting a Kenyan sperm clinic.
And there's a doctor looking for European sperm donors, 2-week vacation, flights, stay in a hotel, food, all paid for by the clinic.
Yeah, so clinics are offering these super donors all expenses paid vacations to come to Africa and drop off their seed. Now, we'll come back to that question of why African clinics are so keen to attract white donors. We'll get back to that in a second. But my question here is, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm just posing the question, but are these funded vacations from clinics how super donors like Kyle, and I'm choosing my words very carefully here, is that how these guys get to travel the world? Are they the ones that fund all of these people's travels? Because that certainly seemed to be the case for Jonathan, the main man in the documentary.
In Kenya, there's a huge demand for sperm. The quickest way to fill up those sperm banks so they're not importing that sperm is to get these serial donors over there.
Now, remember, Kyle told us in the very first episode that he's a nomadic accountant.
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I spend most of my time traveling the world. I'm an accountant, and as long as I have my laptop, I can work from anywhere, so I became a digital nomad.
He also told us he doesn't charge for his sperm. It's just very interesting how he's managed to jet set to every corner of the globe.
I get no money from this. I cover my own travel, my own costs, but I get to see the smiles on their faces when they have a child. That's literally all I'm getting out of it is joy and happiness.
All I can say to that is he must be earning a heck of a lot of money from his accountancy services. What an incredibly generous man to be travelling around the world and not getting paid for it, if he's to be believed. Yeah, something's not quite adding up, right? And get this, here's where things get even more f***ed up. You see, there's lots of posts, including from Kyle himself, referring to Kenya as the promised land. Why is that? Like, why Kenya of all places? Like, literally, that would have been one of the last places on earth I would have thought of. Well, we discover a very alarming insight from one of the other admin from this very Facebook group, who reveals he's there to be milked like a cow, his words. The target the clinic has set is to have 200 of his children every single year. And then, most shockingly, he also says this.
And then Anthony says he wants to bleach Africa.
That's truly disgusting, it's sickening, it's absolutely abhorrent. It genuinely blows my mind that that's the reason this racist piece of shit has gone to donate sperm in Kenya. Now, I need to be absolutely clear here. This is not Kyle saying those words. There's absolutely no instances of racism from Kyle in this show. But clearly, he needs to choose his friends, his associates, his fellow admin a little more carefully. Especially when this guy, Anthony Greenfield, at the end of the show, issues a statement that doubles down on his racism and by implication, by association, raises a lot of questions about all super donors. Like, what proportion of these men are spreading their seed because of a deep-rooted sense of white supremacy? Is that their motivation? I mean, it clearly is for this guy, but how representative is that of all super donors, of all of this group, this clique of men? I mean, is it just a coincidence that Jonathan, the main character of the documentary, also has videos on his YouTube channel that are highly offensive? Yeah, it's all very, very deeply troubling, and there's clearly a racial motivation to some of these men. Now, unfortunately, we do also have to question why these countries are inviting these men to donate. Like, why on earth is there a demand from black parents or Asian parents in countries like Uganda, Kenya, Thailand, Vietnam to have sperm from a white man, to have a half-white child? And unfortunately, I've dug around, I've had a look, I've read up extensively on this topic, and from what I can tell, there's a multitude of factors, of course, but it seems like a lot of this is sadly based on beliefs by recipients that being white or having lighter skin could give their kids a leg up in society. Like, it's so sad, isn't it, that even in this day and age, in their own countries, a lot of people still view white or light-skinned people as being more beautiful or being of a higher social status, and as a result, having better economic opportunities. That seems to be what it boils down to. And it's vile men like this Anthony Greenfield and other super donors perhaps who are exploiting this, sickeningly exploiting this. Yeah, there's nothing more to say than that these men are truly, truly f***ed up. Frankly, this needs to be regulated. There needs to be laws against these kind of narcissists, these people with God complex. They clearly don't care about the safety of others. All they seem to care about is spreading their seed and filling some kind of insecure void. As things stand, and as is glaringly obvious from Kyle's own official statement from the show, there's a shocking lack of accountability at the moment. Yeah, there's a lot of questions here, a lot of questions that are way beyond my pay grade. But I think it's important we have those conversations. I think as 90 Day Fiancé fans, we're well within our rights to ask what steps were taken, what vetting procedures are in place to stop men who don't deserve the limelight to be featured on the show as a form of self-promotion. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.